how to fail at building apps, and why it is the best thing that can happen to you. I want to talk about failure, not because I enjoy failing. I do not. I hate failing. I hate the feeling of something not working. I hate the disappointment. I hate the wasted time. I hate the voice in my head that says, "See, I told you you could not do it." I hate everything about failure. But I have failed enough times now to understand something that I did not understand before. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the path to success. And if you are not failing, you are not trying hard enough. Let me share my first big failure as a vibe coder. It was my second app. The first app went well. Smart Investor Leader launched successfully. Users signed up. Things worked. I was confident. Maybe overconfident. So I decided to build something ambitious. A social media platform for entrepreneurs. A place where business owners could connect, share resources, and collaborate. Think LinkedIn, but smaller and more focused. I was excited. I spent 3 days building it. I described every feature to the AI, user profiles, connections, posts, comments, messaging, groups, events, a feed, search, notifications. I built everything I could think of. The app had 27 pages, 14 entities, 11 backend functions. It was the most complex thing I had ever built. I launched it. I shared it with my community. I posted on social media. I sent emails. I waited for the sign-ups, and crickets. Nobody came. Not one person signed up in the first week. Not one. I had spent 3 days building a platform that nobody wanted. I was devastated. I questioned everything. Maybe I was not a builder. Maybe the first app was luck. Maybe vibe coding was a fluke. Maybe I should go back to what I was doing before. I sat with that failure for 3 days. I did not build anything. I did not open my laptop. I felt sorry for myself. I replayed every decision. Why did I build a social platform? Why did I not test the idea first? Why did I spend 3 days without checking if anyone cared? The self-doubt was loud, and it was convincing. Then I did something that changed my relationship with failure forever. I opened my laptop and I looked at the failed app. Not with frustration, with curiosity. I asked myself one question: why did nobody want this? And I started finding answers. The app was too broad. It tried to serve all entrepreneurs, not a specific type, not a specific niche, not a specific problem, just entrepreneurs in general. And general does not work. People do not sign up for general. They sign up for specific. They sign up for something that solves their specific problem. My first app, Smart Investor Leader, worked because it served a specific person, a parent who wants to learn about money. My second app failed because it served everyone and therefore served no one. The app had too many features, 27 pages, 14 entities, 11 backend functions. I had built everything instead of building the one thing that mattered. The core value proposition was buried under layers of features. A user landing on the home page did not know what the app was for. There was too much to look at, too much to figure out, too much friction. People took one look and left. The app did not solve a painful problem. Connection is nice, but it is not painful. Nobody wakes up at 3 a.m. thinking, "I wish I could connect with other entrepreneurs." They wake up at 3 a.m. thinking about their cash flow, their sales, their kids' school fees. Those are painful problems. And people pay to solve painful problems. They do not pay to solve nice-to-have problems. My first app solved a painful problem. Financial illiteracy. My second app solved a nice-to-have problem. Connection. Painful problems drive sign-ups. Nice-to-have problems do not. Those 3 lessons came from failure, not from success. If the second app had succeeded, I would not have learned any of them. I would have continued building broad apps with too many features that solved nice-to-have problems. And eventually, I would have failed bigger. The early failure was a gift. It taught me 3 principles that have guided every app I have built since. Focus on a specific person with a specific problem. Start with the minimum features needed to solve that problem. Solve a painful problem, not a nice-to-have problem. Those 3 principles came from one failure, and they have saved me from dozens of future failures. The cost of that failure was 3 days. The value of the lessons was immeasurable. I want to share another failure story. This one was more painful because it involved money. I had an idea for an app that would help people track their daily spending. Simple. You log what you spend each day. The app shows you patterns, where your money goes, what categories eat your budget. I thought it was brilliant. Everyone needs to track spending. I built it in one day. I priced it at €9 per month. I launched it. I ran ads. I posted on social media. I emailed my list. In the first month, I got 4 users. 4. At €9 each, that was €36 in revenue. I had spent more than that on ads. The app was a financial failure, but it was an educational goldmine. I learned that people do not want to log their spending manually. It is tedious. It feels like homework. They want the tracking to happen automatically. They want their bank to do it for them. They do not want another app to open and another form to fill. My app required manual entry, and that was the kiss of death. Nobody wants more homework. I also learned that pricing matters more than I thought. €9 per month for a spending tracker felt expensive to users. Not because €9 is a lot of money, because the perceived value of a spending tracker is low. It does not feel like it transforms your life. It feels like a utility. And utilities are expected to be free or very cheap. I priced based on what I wanted to earn, not based on what the user valued. And I learned that building something useful is not the same as building something people will pay for. The spending tracker was useful. It helped the 4 people who used it. But useful is not enough. People pay for transformation, not utility. A spending tracker tracks. It does not transform. My 5-day challenge transforms. It changes how you think about money. That is why people pay for it. The spending tracker did not transform. It just tracked. And tracking is not worth €9 a month to most people. So I shut down the spending tracker. I refunded the 4 users. I wrote down the lessons. And I moved on. The failure cost me 1 day of building and a small amount of ad spend. The lessons were worth far more. They taught me the difference between useful and transformative, between utility and value, between what people need and what people will pay for. Here is what I have learned about failure after building many apps. Failure is data. That is all it is. It is not a verdict on your worth. It is not a prediction of your future. It is data. It tells you what does not work. And knowing what does not work is essential to finding what does. Thomas Edison famously said he did not fail. He just found 10,000 ways that did not work. That is the mindset. Failure is not the opposite of success. It is the research that leads to success. I also want to talk about the emotional side of failure, because the lessons are easy to understand intellectually, but hard to feel emotionally. When an app fails, it hurts, not just professionally, personally, because the app is your idea, your work, your time, your hope. And when nobody wants it, the rejection feels personal. Even though it is not. The market is not rejecting you. The market is rejecting the product. And the product can be changed. You cannot. Well, you can. But you should not change yourself to please the market. You should change the product. The way I handle the emotional side of failure is through a practice I call the failure review. When an app fails, I do 3 things. First, I allow myself to feel bad for 1 day. 1 day. I let the disappointment wash over me. I do not try to suppress it. I do not try to be positive. I just feel bad. For 1 day. Second, I write down what happened. not emotionally, factually. I launched this app on this date. I got this many users. I spent this much. I earned this much. The facts without the feelings. Third, I write down the lessons. What did I learn? What will I do differently? What was the gift in the failure? That third step is the most important because it reframes the failure from a loss to an investment. I did not waste time. I invested in lessons, and lessons compound. I want to share something that I think is crucial for new builders. The fear of failure prevents more building than failure itself. Most people do not build not because they failed, because they are afraid of failing. They have an idea. They think about it. They imagine building it. They imagine launching it. And then they imagine nobody caring. And that imagined rejection is so painful that they never start. The fear of failure kills the idea before it has a chance to live. The antidote to the fear of failure is to fail fast and cheap. Build small, launch small, test small. If it fails, you lose a day, not a month. You lose nothing financially. You gain lessons. And those lessons inform the next attempt, which is also small, which might also fail, which also teaches. And eventually one of the small attempts does not fail. It works. And that one success pays for all the failures, because the cost of each failure was tiny, but the value of the success was large. Vibe coding makes failing fast and cheap possible, because building an app takes hours, not months, because the cost is a subscription, not a salary, because launching is clicking a button, not a campaign, because you can test an idea for the cost of one afternoon. That low cost of failure is the greatest advantage of vibe coding, not the speed of building, the speed of failing, because failing fast means learning fast, and learning fast means succeeding sooner. Let me share one more failure. I built an app for booking fitness classes. The idea was simple. Users find classes near them. They book through the app. The gym gets more customers. The user gets convenience. Win-win. I built it in a day. I launched it. I reached out to gyms. And gyms did not care. They already had their own booking systems. They did not want another one. They did not want to change their process. They did not want to learn a new tool. The app solved a problem that gyms did not think they had. That failure taught me something important. Before you build, ask the customer if they want it. Not after. Before. I should have talked to 5 gym owners before building anything. I should have said I am thinking about building a booking app for fitness classes. Would you use something like this? What do you currently use? What is missing? What would make you switch? Those 5 conversations would have told me everything I needed to know. That gyms do not want a new booking system. That conversation would have saved me a day of building. And it would have cost me 30 minutes of phone calls. Now, before I build any app, I talk to 5 potential users. I describe the idea. I ask if they would use it. I ask what they would pay. I ask what they currently use. I ask what is missing. Those 5 conversations are my market research. They take less than an hour. And they have saved me from building dozens of apps that nobody wanted. The failure of the fitness app taught me to seek before I build, which connects back to the ask framework. Seek first, then build, not the other way around. I want to leave you with this. If you are afraid to build because you are afraid to fail, I want you to hear this clearly. You will fail. Absolutely. 100%. Some of your apps will not work. Some of your ideas will flop. Some of your launches will get 0 response. That is not a possibility. That is a certainty. But each failure will teach you something that brings you closer to the app that works. And the app that works will pay for all the failures. Because the failures cost almost nothing with vibe coding. And the success can change everything. So fail. Fail often. Fail fast. Fail cheap. And learn from every failure. because the builder who fails the most learns the most. And the builder who learns the most builds the best. And the builder who builds the best serves the most. And serving the most is the goal. If you want to learn how to build apps and how to fail productively, join me at 7D AI Academy. We celebrate failures because we know they lead to successes. Search for 7D AI Academy online and start building today. I am Smarty, and this has been episode 16 of Vibe Coding with Purpose. In the next episode, we are going to talk about the first app I ever built, the story, the struggle, the breakthrough. See you there.